columnist and community editor, and Adam Neal, editor and news director, along perhaps with some reader advisory board members later on. I will lead today's questioning, and I'll open it up to other editorial board members at the end of our session here. Visuals editor Kelly Rogers will direct video coverage from behind the scenes, and if we get questions from our social media audience, we might decide to pose one or two at the end of the session. I want to thank our candidates, Mayor Linda Hudson and Donna Benton, for streamlining this process by completing their questionnaires ahead of time. Board members have had a chance to review them, and you can do the same at tcpalm.com/elections, where you'll also find other stories, videos, and information about the November 3rd election. At the conclusion of today's interview, editorial board members will discuss possibly writing an editorial to recommend a candidate in this race. We've got several questions for our candidates today. We might end up having more of a conversation than just a simple Q&A. Our goal is to be completed in 45 minutes to an hour at most. And because of our time constraints, I'm going to ask our candidates to please keep their answers concise and to please be respectful of one another. All this said, we're going to start today's questioning with Mayor Hudson. Good morning, Mayor Hudson. Okay, would you briefly introduce yourself and tell viewers who you are and why you're running for office?
I'm Linda Hudson, and I was born and raised in Fort Pierce. I went to all local schools, graduated from high school here, attended Indian River Junior College at the time, and went on to the University of Florida and graduated from the University of Florida with a BA in History and English. I moved to Chicago and had a 25-year career in Chicago with the American Medical Association and the Illinois State Medical Society as an association management. I retired as Vice President of Membership and Marketing for the Illinois State Medical Society. I was a new widow, and decided that I needed to move back to Florida to be closer to my family. And so I moved back to Fort Pierce in 1994 and looked around for something to be interested in. And one of the things was the city's budget. So I started attending budget meetings, and I was eventually decided to run for mayor in 2011 because people encouraged me to, because I was so familiar with the budget. And I was elected in 2012, and after a mandatory recount, and I won by 61 votes. So I decided that I needed to be out in the community and meet as many people as possible because the race was so close, and I wanted to convince people that I was worthy of being their mayor. So I attended a lot of events, and I also was responsible for a number of committees that the city assigned me to, like the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities, the Transportation Planning Organization. Of course, as mayor, you serve on the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority Board. So my original reason for running for mayor was fiscal responsibility, and we have achieved that. The city was in a very sound financial position going into the pandemic. We've cut back on our expenses because our budget has been affected, but we have been working on two tracks: one, keeping the city moving forward, and the other one, keeping our citizens safe in the pandemic. And so I want to continue to be mayor because we are on the verge of some very exciting things in Fort Pierce with the Kings Landing development and new businesses coming. And so I want to see those through. And I believe that I'm a unifying force and a calm and steady leader who is a good listener and who tries to unify our commission and make sure they make good decisions.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Mayor Hudson. Donna, a little bit about yourself briefly here and why you're running for mayor.
Yes. A little bit about myself. I've been a resident of Fort Pierce for 51 years. Have been married for 39 to Bob Benton, and we have two sons, Kadri and Corey, who have both made Fort Pierce their home. And Corey is raising a new grandson who is a delight. And we've all made Fort Pierce our home. I've Oh, excuse me. I have been involved in the city over the years, those 51 years. I've been involved in Habitat for Humanity and took that project on and made them a viable force within the community. I have been involved with Fort Pierce Community-Wide Council. Through the years, I've been on many different boards, the Chamber of Commerce. I've been involved with the Manatee Foundation. I've been involved with the Fort Pierce Tree Board. I was on several boards at the city, and continue. I have been PTO president, FK Suite. I've been on the Education Foundation board. And why I'm running for president, for president, why I'm running for mayor of the city of Fort Pierce is to make Fort Pierce a viable city that really functions well. I've been in business for 42 years. After graduating high school and going to IRCC at the time, I went into business in 1977. And I've seen Fort Pierce through the years, and we were coming back. We had gone through this hindrance where I know at one time we were called Crack City on national news, and we went to a downturn. Then the city was being revitalized. We had a commission and mayor, two different mayors that saw the need and the desire to make Fort Pierce a great community. We're a Treasure Coast gem. And so much had been put into the infrastructure to beautify Fort Pierce and to turn Fort Pierce around. And I would like to see that continue. Our corridors are deteriorating. We are not business friendly when it comes to FQA. We are not business friendly when it comes to the building department and city hall, the planning department. You know, God bless them. They don't really even know and can read and approve plans that need to be done. And there's so much that needs to be corrected. Our tax rate has gone from 5.4 to 6.9. We are the highest in the state. And it is time that we lower the tax rate, we become business friendly, we have strategic planning to bring in business and to assist the businesses that are already here.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Donna, let's start with you. On your campaign page,
yes,
you say, quote, Fort Pierce is currently in a floundering state as to the direction we're headed, with turmoil consistently existing within City Hall. How would you fix that turmoil? How would you fix the fact that the city is floundering?
Well, right now, what I see the city and how I would fix it is, number one, we have to start at the city manager's office. We have to start with who is running our city and how the city is seen. Nick's a great guy. He is an engineer. He's not a businessman. We need to fix the morale at City Hall. We need to fix the discrepancies within City Hall. I mean, you go to get a permit for just an AC, City of Fort Pierce, it's $199. Port St. Lucie, all day long, get it, $89. And so why are we charging double for something that should be same day permit out the door? We do it every day. You know, that's just one example. We have a business who took 24 months to get plans approved. You know, if that business didn't have a landlord that was willing to work with them, how do you expect them to be successful? And when someone's going into business, they only have X number of dollars. You know, our city's floundering. You drive in Orange Avenue corridor, Panera Bread. I work with site selectors being in real estate. Started driving in Orange Avenue, saw how deteriorated it looked, turned around, didn't even get past 17th Street and said, Panera Bread's not coming to downtown. I've worked with Starbucks trying to get them to come to Seaway Drive and 2nd Street. I work with an owner who was ready to redevelop the property. He said, get me a Starbucks as a drive-through and an anchor, and let's do it. Starbucks, absolutely not, would not come to downtown Fort Pierce. They wanted to stay by the 95 corridor. You know, I see that we have to take City Hall, we have to have the leadership at the top with the vision of how to make City Hall friendly. You know, another example, business licenses. I represent several owners who have short-term rentals. You know, rent the properties for $5,000 a month. Their business tax license is $5 a year. It takes more than $5 to send out the paperwork in order to pay that. So there's so many things that need to be developed at City Hall, that need to be improved at City Hall. So we know that, you know, what the right hand is doing and the left hand can move it forward. You know, our police department, we have rising crime. We have policemen that are respected and need to be respected, but I've heard from several different people, you know, they don't report things. I had an instance at an apartment complex.
Let's hold on. Let's hold off. Let's hold off on the police issue.
Okay.
That's my next question.
All right.
Okay.
So
Let's hold off on that. All right.
But yes,
okay.
We need to improve.
Okay, good. Mayor Hudson, respond to that. Is the city floundering? Is there turmoil at City Hall? Talk a little bit about that.
When I was first mayor, we had a city manager who had been hired by the previous mayor and commission, Robert Bradshaw, who was hiding in his City Hall office. And it didn't take long for our commission to say, we need to do better. And so he resigned, and I led the way for the commission to choose Nick Mims. I said, I want Nick Mims as not only our interim city manager, I want him as our permanent city manager. He has been deputy city manager, he's been interim, and now it's his turn. He is homegrown. He has worked in several departments in this city, and he is ready to be city manager. And I couldn't be prouder of that choice. He's a product of Fort Pierce and Fort Pierce schools. He demands excellence from all of our staff. And if you look at our staff, we have, since I've been mayor, the 3 charter officers have changed. We have an in-house attorney instead of the old attorney that was an outside counsel and charging us a lot of money. And we have, Nick demands excellence. He has department heads that he says, you are responsible for your decisions. And he tries to make them stand alone, but he also tries to guide them and tries to make everybody work together. So I'm not seeing the same thing that Ms. Benton is, and I'm seeing a much improved City Hall, a much improved public records. We used to have the worst reputation on the Treasure Coast for providing public records, and now we have the best reputation. So we have improved our IT department. So many departments, and our building department has improved. And we welcome the chamber and the EDC to come in and review our business practices and tell us where we can improve them. And then they brought them to the City of Fort Pierce Commission, and we implemented most of them. So I'm kind of not seeing the same picture.
Okay. Mayor Hudson, we're going to start with you on this question, and it is about police.
Okay.
Let's talk about law enforcement. Law enforcement's been a pretty significant issue nationwide for obvious reasons. It's also been an issue in Fort Pierce for some time. In the primary in particular, it was an issue in some of the campaigns. Fort Pierce saw a pretty large Back the Blue rally a few weeks ago, but there have been questions about the performance of the police department and its chief. In your view, how's the Fort Pierce Police Department doing? Is reform necessary?
So I think the change came when our chief came. And she's the first African-American female chief of the city of Fort Pierce. And she has introduced a lot of community practice, community policing and training. She introduced de-escalation training. She invited the Department of Justice to come to Fort Pierce and review our policing practices and tell us where we could do better. And the Department of Justice helped us choose our body. We are the first agency that has body-worn cameras, and so that gives transparency to the police department as well as citizens. We have an active community policing agenda where we have front porch roll calls out in the community. Our police are interacting with the community in non-crime situations so that they can build relationships. They do it with children in schools at First Step Park. They do it in front porch roll calls. The chief has a very good handle on what's happening in our police department, and so does our city manager. I believe that the controversy has been partly driven by the national narrative and partly driven by a few individuals who have problems with law enforcement in general. And so I'm very proud of our police department. It's professional. It was just reaccredited with an excellent report. And I think that our police are trying to, in this year's budget, we're giving them $500,000 more to make sure that our seasoned police officials don't leave for other agencies, because we were having a problem. We train them, and then other agencies reach out and recruit them because they can pay more. So we don't want to lose our seasoned officers. And so I feel like that we're on our way to really improving our police department, and it was already on that path before.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mayor. Donna, Fort Pierce Police, how are they doing? Yeah. Is reform necessary?
I think absolutely reform is necessary. We have some great officers, and they truly need to be respected. And I do think that there's a lack of respect from the police chief to the officers that are out on duty. I also think that there's a lot of education that needs to be granted to these officers. And I say this at firsthand experience. I am a property manager. I have tenants come and go. I had a incident with tenants who the Fort Pierce Police came. The gentleman who was visiting his mother said that he was a tenant. I never even knew his name. And she had moved out. The Fort Pierce Police Department told me that I had to give him access to the unit, and I had to do a proper eviction for him. Didn't even know the guy's name. I said, wait, let me call the sheriff's department. Absolutely. Sheriff's department knew it right off the top. He had no tenant-landlord relationship. So our Fort Pierce Police Department does not know about tenant law, and Fort Pierce is what? More than 50% landlord, tenant driven. I had a breaking and entering at a unit. Guys standing there with a bloody arm on drugs. The Fort Pierce Police Department said, did you see him break in? I said, no, I did not. They go, well, then we can't arrest him, and we're not even writing it up. Vandalism, White's tackle on US 1, hit consistently for years. You know, none of these instances have reports. Now, you may think that they're simple. You may think that they're not worthy to be written up, but small issues like this turn into big issues. We've just had 2 shootings in Fort Pierce in the last week and a half. Crime is up. When you look at stats, crime in Fort Pierce is up nationally. It's 23% higher than the national level. We need to reduce crime. We no longer fund PAL. That's been taken out of the budget. We've reduced our youth programs. We're not providing activities for youth. We don't have programs that our police officers are in the neighborhoods, that we have policing, neighborhood policing, so they get to know the neighbors. And you know, we used to have cops on bikes. They spoke to people. They prevented crime before it started. So I think when you look at the numbers, what's being reported is what is actually reported, but not what the true crimes are. And it's time we get a grip on gangs. We used to. Gangs are all over. They're writing on walls constantly, and it's being painted. So no, absolutely. I think we need reform, and we need leadership that understands the problems of the city of Fort Pierce, District 1 and District 2, and addresses those problems.
Okay. Donna, we'll start with you on this one. It's kind of a related question, maybe.
Okay.
Fort Pierce is a city of extremes in some respects. There's some extreme wealth in the city, but there's also some fairly significant poverty.
Yes.
What can the city do to foster more economic opportunity in underprivileged communities? What could you do as mayor to address that?
What I can do as mayor is work with organizations in District 1 and work with the wealthy of Fort Pierce that want to give back. I spoke to someone the other day who is willing to help fund and help small business on the Orange Avenue corridor so that their businesses are beautified, and that when you drive in Orange Avenue, you get a sense of Fort Pierce is moving forward. I used to run a modeling school and a modeling agency. I know programs to help our youth gain confidence, to help our youth, to provide them with the knowledge and the help that they don't need to be involved in crime. They can have after school programs. We also need education for our youth through, Fort Pierce is a mega yacht center. Been working on that for 5 years, which is another topic I hope we get involved in. But we need to work with IRSC for programs for craftsmanship and vocations. So I think I can foster that. We need to be proactive and not reactive. We need to work with District 1 to gain those activities and to give them the education they need. I work with an organization right now who they work as a hand up and not a handout. And they have a program where they provide the ovens. They teach people how to take grain, turn it to flour, bake bread. So there's things that we can teach our youth that can help the community. We can do community gardens, which again takes these children and gives them activities so they can stay out of trouble and benefits the community. We also need a grant writer. Fort Pierce needs the best grant writer that we can find. While I worked at Habitat, I worked with a lot of philanthropists. There's so many grants available through private donors along with federal grants through the government. And we need to be tapping into these. They are the programs and the facilities that we can have the PAL program back up and running. Our YMCA, the doors were closed. The Sunrise, the doors are closed. We were having programs there for after school. There's just so many different areas, and I think I can bring the community together on both sides because District 1 wants to improve, and I know folks in District 2 or throughout the city of Fort Pierce and St. Lucie County that want to see the children thrive.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Mayor Hudson. Can the city do more to foster economic opportunity for the folks in underprivileged communities?
Yes, and one of the things that we have done is we welcomed Allegheny Franciscan Ministries, who came into Fort Pierce, and they wanted to train and empower the folks who are economically more distressed. And they have spent a lot of time and a lot of money in Fort Pierce trying to get people who are not as well off or as tuned into what's going on in the city to get them more involved, which we welcome. And so that's one thing that we've already done. And Allegheny, by the way, is having a conversation on race and inclusion on October the 15th. And they've invited me to be a part of it, which I'm very happy to be. And so I participate, and I'm chairman of the St. Lucie County Executive Roundtable. And that's an organization that gets up every day and says, we want every child in St. Lucie County to have the best possible opportunity to succeed, no matter their economic situation. So that is a collaboration of the leaders around St. Lucie County, the school board, the Early Learning Coalition, the Children's Services Council, the 3 law enforcement officers, the juvenile justice. There was a judge, and Diamond Liddy, and Career Source, and all the cities have a representative, and the county has a representative. And we collaborate to make sure that every child has an opportunity. It also houses the Kids for Success program, and every child is capable of success, no exception. That's our motto, and that's what we do to try to help. Now, economic development, no matter where it is, in the Treasure Coast, helps. We all help each other. So we try to bring businesses to Fort Pierce, and we've kept businesses here, like Natalie's Orchid Island Juice is going to stay here. It's going to move from the U.S. Fund out to the Giorgio corridor, and we got that with a grant from the Department of Economic Opportunity. And we brought in Radical Cosmetics in the port area. We brought in Gander Outdoors and Camping World. All of those are providing jobs to local people, and they come to our job fairs, which we sponsor every year with Career Source. Once a year, it's one of the largest job fairs, and it's held at the Finn Center, and our employers come and offer employment to all of anybody who wants to in St. Lucie County. So we are already doing a lot for the economic betterment of our citizens, and we were really on track until the pandemic. And while the Police Athletic League is no longer affiliated with the city of Fort Pierce, we have a Fort Pierce Recreation Department. The old YMCA is now called the Rec Center for all ages. And before the pandemic, we were offering programming for all ages.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor. Let's stick with the topic of economic development, redevelopment in this case. Redevelopment's a major issue in Fort Pierce with the work at the Port of Fort Pierce. And the proposed Kings Landing development, as mentioned earlier, on the former H.D. King site, that project's hit a few snags. In late July, the City Commission voted to spend $170,000 to remove the old foundations of an old power plant and some other stuff that was buried underground. 2 commissioners voted no, saying the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority should have paid for the cleanup. Audubon, the developer, had originally said it planned to break ground in June or July 2020, but things are falling a little bit behind. There seems to be some tension, I guess, with the FPUA, the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority. What's the status of this project? Is this project going to move forward? What's it going to take?
It's going to move forward. And in fact, at the last 2 meetings, we approved a number of zoning and other issues that had to be done. We're all part of the negotiations, and that we did that. So it's on track. I didn't remember that it had to break ground. I'm not going to disagree with you, because I remember Dale Madison, who's with Kings Landing, was always saying, please don't look for bulldozers on that site until 2021. So I think that that was his original intent. It's very much on target. That the debris that is going to be removed underneath that was a slight snag. I wouldn't say it was a major snag. And what the commission agreed to do is approve up to that amount in case it was needed to remove the debris there. That was, in a way, I think that the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority probably thought it was already contributing, because that was going to come from funds that has been an issue of contention between the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority and the city of Fort Pierce, which has now been pretty much assuaged. It's and so I think that that is something that we put behind us. And let me just say that we work well together with the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority, but there's always a natural tension. And the natural tension is when we tend to get in our own silos and we don't tend to communicate with one another. And that's one of the things that I've made very important and very clear to both the Director of Utilities and the City Manager is we can't afford not to work well with each other, and we must keep each other informed. Because this is about Fort Pierce. This isn't about personalities or organizations. This is about moving Fort Pierce forward. So we, in fact, with the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority, we now have a really good working relationship so that when they're going to tear up the road to fix utilities, we're going to help fix the road back so that we don't tear up the road twice. So the relationship is very good with the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority. So I think we're on the right track for a redevelopment with Kings Landing. I don't see any problems.
Okay. Donna, Kings Landing, FPUA, how's it going?
Yes, well, it's kind of interesting. At least the mayor said, that they've had their issues. First, I'd like to say now we know why the lights are not turned on in Fort Pierce. And I'll expand on that later. But Enron spent over $1 million cleaning up that site, and Fort Pierce Utilities received those funds. Site should have been cleaned up. They should have been receiving grants through the Brownsfield designation that the property received. So in order for this additional $170,000, Fort Pierce Utilities should have picked up the tab if it needed to. Sounds to me like it should have been taken care of prior to even entering the agreement. Kings Landing, $85 million budget, $85 million project. What's another $170,000 to get it off the ground? We haven't even seen a permit attempted to be pulled. We haven't seen any plans that have been submitted for review. So really, where is that project? Sounds like a great project. I'm all for it. I think it would be a great addition to downtown. It would tie Edgartown into the downtown area and would be a great project. But I don't foresee it moving forward anytime soon. And back to turning the lights on in Fort Pierce, that's a contention between FPUA and the city of Fort Pierce. You can drive all over town. I've driven. I'm an early riser, so I'm out early in the morning. The street lights are out. We have lights that are out for over 2 years on the beach. I have lights in front of my home that have been out for going on 4 weeks. The neighbors have all called in their little number, and we can't seem to get a light bulb changed. And I understand it's because Fort Pierce and Fort Pierce Utilities don't know who's in charge. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Time is flying by here. Donna, we're going to start this question with you. It has to do with taxes.
Yes.
You had brought this issue up earlier. Residents of Fort Pierce, in fact, I believe, have the highest total property tax millage in all of Florida, according to Tax Watch. That is not solely the city's responsibility. Of course, county taxes, other taxes are a big factor in that. But what can the city do to reduce its tax rate, or is it realistic to think the city can reduce its tax rate given the fiscal challenges it faced?
No, I think absolutely the city can and are very capable of reducing the tax rate. City of Port St. Lucie is 5 mils and city of Fort Pierce is at 6.9. But you drive to Port St. Lucie and they have development, they have businesses, they have construction happening consistently. You drive to the city of Fort Pierce and we have deteriorated roadways. We have property that the city owns that is deteriorating. So what we need to do is we need to look at Fort Pierce as a whole, and we need to improve the city properties. We need to improve our corridors. We have right now, they're doing reconstruction of 17th Street, which is the corridor into Lincoln Park Academy, which when our sons went there was the 21st school in the nation. It was the top top school. FK Sweet was the #1 elementary school in the state of Florida. So we have the opportunity to turn 17th Street into an entryway into Lincoln Park Academy, which brings in parents from all over the county. And we could have added some nice lighting, some palm trees, widen the sidewalks so students and residents can walk, and make people go, wow, Fort Pierce is changing, it is improving, and raising those property values. But the mayor voted against that. You know, we have to look at ourselves first and what we're actually presenting. It starts with City Hall. We can reduce our millage rate if we have infill construction and development. We need to look at the city as a whole and take districts in our neighborhoods and make our neighborhoods complement development and work with it. You have a neighborhood off of Orange Avenue and it's in District 1. I think it would be the best little area for a vacation rental, bed and breakfast. It would tie into downtown, and you have a lot of vacant property. You have Doug Davis, who built the beautiful Mediterranean building many, many years ago and has been unsuccessful in trying to rent it because, you know, our corridor at 7th Street is deteriorating, and we need to raise the bar. We need to, you know, when businesses go in, we have a business that went in at Avenue D and US 1. If you drive by, it has 5 little stick palm trees. You know, we have city codes, we have city ordinances. We need to implement them. And we need to have the businesses that we currently have improve. And by improving, you raise your property values. When you raise your property values and you have a city that is beautiful for people to come in, they want to open up businesses. They want to be a part of the community that is moving forward. We haven't moved forward in so long. A lot of the businesses we're getting, I mean, I see a dollar store pop up on pretty much every corner, and we see gas stations. We did get Gander Mountain, that's in the I-95 corridor. But within the city of downtown, we have to take a different approach. We have to be business friendly. You know, you need to pull a permit. You have a business. We have 9 plates going into the 111 building. It took him 24 months to get building permits approved. You know, we can't have this for businesses. So we have to be proactive. And yes, I do think if we take these steps and we move Fort Pierce forward as a business-friendly community, then we can reduce the millage rate and become more competitive with our sister cities, you know, Port St. Lucie, Stewart, and Vero.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Mayor Hudson, taxes, are they too high? Can they realistically be reduced? How?
So there's nothing I'd like better than to reduce the millage rate. And I'll tell you why we didn't this year. We didn't this year because of what we wanted to do in terms of our police department. But I will tell you, when I came into office, we were $97 million in debt from the previous administration buying property and at high prices. And so we had a debt that, in fact, the finance director at the time that the last debt was incurred, the big one, the Florida financing debt, said the city of Fort Pierce cannot now or in the future pay this debt. So that's what I was faced with when I took over. And we have reduced that debt by 20 million, and we have increased property values. And so I would like nothing better than to reduce the millage rate. But in this particular year, because of our policing situation and what we wanted to do to save our officers and retain our seasoned officers, and so we want to pay our policemen an appropriate salary so they don't get taken away from other people. We could not. And also during the economic downturn, a lot of Fort Pierce was neglected, and so we didn't resurface our roads, we didn't upgrade our IT, and all of that came to roost during the last few years, where we could no longer put off doing some of the things that needed to be done that were not done in previous administrations. And so I think our debt service, when we walk in the door every year, we have to pay $5.4 million in debt service. And that was a residual from the previous administration's spending. And it took all our FPRA dollars also. And so we're just now reaching the point where we can use FPRA money for the things it was intended for and not for debt, and also for our city budget to be balanced. So I look forward to, if things go well and we get out of the pandemic, I can't wait to lower the millage rate. But this year we could not do it.
Okay, good. The question for the mayor, this is going to be my last question, and I'm going to ask you to keep it brief because we're running out of time. Although this is an expansive subject. The Indian River Lagoon is another perpetual issue in Fort Pierce. The cities have sort of limited authority to really tackle this problem. A lot of the authority rests with other agencies. But what is the city doing enough to ensure clean water, and is there anything else the city can do?
So I'll be quick. The city, in the Veterans Memorial Park, there's a water cleaning feature that cleans the water before it goes into the lagoon. At the Indian Hills Restoration Area, that has a water cleaning feature down by Savannah Road, cleans the water before it goes in the lagoon. The islands off the city marina, they clean the water in the Indian River Lagoon, and they attract fish and make the fishing better along Melody Lane and along the Melody Lane fishing. What our engineers do is they cobble together grants and try to do all the water cleaning features that we can with other people, like the Florida Inland Navigation District and the Environmental Protection Agency. Moore's Creek has got a water cleaning feature. So we try to do those small but effective projects. And I will tell you that the best thing that we have going for us here is our Fort Pierce Inlet, which washes and cleans the lagoon in and out twice a day. So is Fort Pierce doing enough? Well, I don't know what you could ever do that's enough. That would require more money, and we want to lower the millage rate. But we cooperate with South Florida Water Management. In fact, they just presented something to us that I hope we adopt, which is reducing landscape irrigation water and keep our water aquifer plentiful.
Okay, good. Donna, briefly, the lagoon. Is the city doing enough? If not, what more should the city be doing?
I live on the lagoon, so it's very, very important to me. The city is doing what they can. I do think that we need to continue with baffle boxes for construction. When you have something come in, the runoff with the stormwater and so forth, that is very, very important for new businesses. One thing I definitely think is that we do not need any more gas stations on the island. We have 2 already. We don't need to expand them. This is a barrier island, and the runoff and so forth goes right into the lagoon. In fact, when we have a rain, it will sit in the roads until the tide is lower so it can go back out. So we don't need any more of that. Yes. Moore's Creek, we have to come up with some type of netting facility or a netting clean out that we can clean Moore's Creek better. When you drive down Moore's Creek, there's a lot of still garbage, trash. I saw a couch in there a couple weeks ago. We need to keep that cleaner than what we're doing right now. The Indian River Lagoon is very important, and our seagrasses have been dying. We need to bring them back, and we need to maintain the quality of the lagoon. It's nothing better than to drive over the beach and when it looks like the Bahamas.
Agreed. Okay, good. Those are the questions that I have. Larry Reisman had a question. If we can get it in here fairly quickly here. I'm going to let Larry go here.
One quick question. I guess we'll start with Donna first. Just maybe a yes or no, and then one sentence answer. Do you think the city? Do you think the county? Do you think would help the city if the county sold the courthouse downtown? Yes or no?
No, absolutely no. We are the county seat, and it is very important. Fort Pierce downtown would just fall apart if the county left.
Thanks. Linda?
No, I think that it's a county seat, and I think that the population is in Port St. Lucie, and I think Port St. Lucie and the county are going to kind of always want that to happen, but no.
Okay, thank you. Gil, back to you, Gil.
Okay, good. All right, well, we've come to the end now. I want each candidate give them an opportunity to, if there's something that you wanted to mention that we didn't get to during the interview, or if you just prefer to make a closing statement, that's fine as well. We'll start with the mayor, Mayor Hudson.
So I appreciate your questions today and this format, and I would like to continue being your mayor. I have devoted full time to that, and I think I'm a unifying force in this city. And I have two District 1 commissioners and two District 2 commissioners, and they all have strong personalities. I think it's really important that we work together to make good decisions for this city. I want to keep this city safe, and I think I have kept the city safe from hurricanes, pandemics, and civil unrest. And I believe that I would, in the next 4 years, we will see Fort Pierce grow and prosper. And I really think that one of my visions for Fort Pierce is that people have good jobs, raise their families, are happy, and that the government gets out of the way and just lets them have a happy life and a good economic prosperity. And I'm going to work for that for District 1 and for District 2.
Okay, very good. Donna, anything we didn't mention you want to mention, or just a closing statement?
Just a closing statement. I want to say to the citizens of Fort Pierce that, I have awareness. I have attention to detail. I understand business and how business functions and what it needs from government to get up and running. I have a commitment to Fort Pierce. I've been here for 51 years. I didn't move, didn't leave, didn't have to come back. I have worked with groups in Fort Pierce and with City Hall through the years to see improvements and see Fort Pierce become a better place. I have business experience. I know how business runs. And I think Fort Pierce City Hall and I think Fort Pierce Utilities have a lot that can be improved upon. And I think I have the knowledge and the know-how to bring forth in those improvements, and that Fort Pierce is such a gem, and we have so much to offer. And I think the next 4 years are definitely very important, between the millage rate, between drawing in business, between cleaning up our streets and making Fort Pierce, instead of being the ugly stepchild that we have been through the past, that we are the community that's up and coming and a community to reckon with when it comes to development.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank both of our candidates, Mayor Linda Hudson and Donna Benton, for being here, for answering our questions. If you missed part of this broadcast, you can go back and watch it in full here on our Facebook page. It's also on our YouTube channel. Stick with TCPalm for the rest of the day. We have a number of other candidate interviews lined up, including one to begin in about 10 minutes. I'm columnist Gil Smart. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.